Good day, folks. Everything new under the sun. I apologize again. I've been low on videos recently. Last Saturday, I got hit in the face with a slap shot in hockey, and I've kind of been down and out in terms of making any videos or content. But the world still moves along, and there's some critical things that I want to bring to your attention. You're looking at this is breaking news out of Russia. Apparently, five terrorists went in with automatic weapons and explosives into a theater of some sort, and there are people who were killed. And special forces, Russian special forces, went in there and took them out. Interesting about this is that the special forces got there an hour after the shooting started. So I don't know. I don't know if the regular police were there quicker or something, but that's incredible to me. Also, notice this: cellular communications in Moscow are not working well. That's interesting because Russia is a first world country, and is that related to maybe some cyber attacks that Ukraine was doing? Why are cellular communications down or not doing well? And this is a key thing for you to realize and understand that when World War III starts, communications will go down. You will not have internet. You will not have cell phone. This is why you need to come up with alternate means of communication. And I've said that before. So this building is on fire. They've sent helicopters to extinguish it. Also reported a major failure in the work of the manager Telegram. It says, I don't know if that's the Telegram itself, the app, the communication app. But there you go. So this is again from Zero Hedge. At least 40 dead. Ongoing terror attack on Moscow concert venue. And there's an alert by the U.S. Embassy, and consulates. Security alert of avoid large gatherings over the next 48 hours. Location Moscow, Russia. The embassy is monitoring reports that extremists have imminent plans to target large gatherings in Moscow to include concerts. So I don't know if this was happened before. Oh yeah, a mere days ago, U.S. Embassy released the following, telling about all U.S. nationals still in the country to avoid large gatherings. What did they know is the question. Did they know there was a Ukrainian attack coming? Russia has called the shooting the bloodiest terrorist attack in an initial bloody terrorist attack in an initial statement. The White House has also issued statements. White House no indication that Ukraine is involved. Of course, it's going to, plausible deniability. They're going to say it was separatists or rogue elements, whatever it may be. Plausible deniability. This is what happens. They don't want, nobody's going to declare World War III, but we are in the middle of it. It just looks different than World War II. We've been in World War III since Russia invaded Ukraine. This is an interesting one. Joe Biden demands Ukraine halt strikes on Russian refiners. Why? Oh, because all of a sudden it's hurting the United States. It's fine if tens of thousands of Ukrainians die, but as soon as it starts hurting the U.S. economy, whoa, we got to stop now. The price of oil is going up. The citizens of the U.S. are going to get angry and maybe bump Biden out. So Biden says, okay, we can't have this because now it's affecting us. It's all good as long as it's affecting people, over there in Europe. As soon as it hurts North America, change our plans. So yeah, stop, halt strikes on Russian refiners, he says. Incredible. Ukraine is just being used. You've probably heard it elsewhere, but that's the truth. And I feel bad for all the Ukrainians who, think they're fighting for their country, but really they're fighting for all the big business and all the big money and the big governments behind Zelensky. And it's a sad situation. It really is. Thousands upon thousands and hundreds of thousands of lives are being lost, almost for no good reason. European Council President calls on Europe to switch to a war economy. Why is that? Is it because we're in the middle of World War III? Mainstream doesn't want to tell you that, do they? As a way to create jobs, of course. What a great... Let's go to a war economy to create jobs. So he's promoting a war economy to create jobs. I thought you just did that during a war. Nope. Apparently, it's just to create a few extra jobs and get people some more money. There you go. What Michael wants concretely is EU targets to buy twice as much weapons from European defense producers by 2030 to use profits from Russian frozen assets to finance weapons purchases for Ukraine. Keep this war going because that means everybody makes lots of money in the West. And that's what it's all about. So, about money, it's about the world reserve currency, the US dollar. It's about these governments keeping their power. The citizens, remember the citizens of the West, of Europe, don't want this war. And there is corruption and signs of illegal activity all over this. You know, even going back to Hunter Biden and all the deals that were made in Ukraine and the corruption there at the big companies and all the fat profits now that the war machine is making, selling weapons to Ukraine, using taxpayer dollars, saying we must help Ukraine. We need your tax dollars. And oh, by the way, we're going to pay the bigwigs at these munitions companies lots of money to keep this war going. And it's great until it starts hitting North America, isn't it? And that's what the leaders want you to think. You know, as long as it's not hurting you, let's keep it going. It's incredible. It's all about the money, and it's a sick thing. And hundreds of thousands of lives are being lost. Here's one, Zero Hedge. There's been no increases in hurricanes. Scientists debunk climate change claims about hurricanes. Interesting, right? Now, Canadian Prepper and other folks go on and say, you know, I believe climate change and I believe this is all occurring. And even if you don't believe it, you know, blah, blah, blah. There's nuance here. I think many people believe that temperatures are increasing. In fact, the Bible, the history of the Bible, indicates that indeed it should be increasing. Remember the flood of Noah? Happened about 4,000 years ago. Prior to that, there was a canopy over around the whole world, or the whole earth. The pressure was higher, the oxygen content was higher, plants and dinosaurs grew massive sizes, and there were giants in the land. And also it was warm all the way around the earth. There were no cold poles or polar regions. There wasn't snow, there wasn't rain. It was just warm. It was tropical all over. Almost as nice as the Garden of Eden. And then the flood of Noah came. It changed all that. All of a sudden, the ice canopy, because of the magnetic poles, all the ice floated there and piled up at the poles. That created the cold poles, North and South Pole, and the warm equator. And that cooled off the Earth from what it was tropical all the way around to the Ice Age. The Ice Age came and went, and the Earth has been warming ever since Noah's flood. Starting with the Ice Age, it's been warming up ever since the Ice Age, and it will continue to warm. The Earth has checks and balances. It will not get too hot. Yes, there may be displacement of populations as parts of it get too warm, but they can move to more northern latitudes and places where it's not as hot. But yes, it will warm, and we expect it to based on the biblical plan and the biblical detail of creation, the biblical truth of that. So climate change, is the earth warming? Yes. Do we expect it to? Yes. Does the Bible say it would and basically indicate that it would be returning to its original or at least moving towards its original state as a tropical all-around planet? Yes. Is the millennial reign of Christ, does that happen in a tropical paradise? Yeah, it does. We're all going to live and sit under our own vines with, God ruling and reigning on earth and us as kings and priests under him. And so the earth is moving back to that place where we're ready for a Garden of Eden-like earth where there is plenty, because God doesn't want anybody to be without excuse for, recognizing that God created it and God is in control. And so, is it man-made climate change? Maybe partially. Are we going to destroy ourselves? Likely not. I think the checks and balances would prevent that. Is man overwhelmingly the cause of global warming? No, I don't think so. I think we're a tiny, tiny addition to that. Certainly, we need to be good stewards of the earth, but overall, we're not affecting the overall balance of it. I believe God has a purpose and a plan and a timeline, and He will not allow it to get too hot overall. It's simply returning to what it was prior to the flood of Noah. So that being said, pay attention when people talk about this. There's nuance there, and you need to recognize that. You need to look at the biblical record of history. Recognize that what the temps we're seeing now is nothing new. The Earth has been a lot warmer in the past than it is now, and I don't mean volcanic warm where nothing could survive, but tropical warm. You look at the tops of the mountains, and there's sea creatures there. You look at the polystrate fossils, the trees that were sent down and are vertical from the flood as the log mats dropped into the water after they became waterlogged and didn't float anymore. And you see all these things. You see tropical conditions in the Arctic underneath the snow. When you go dig there archaeologically, you see the remnants of tropical forests. This is all proof that the Bible is true and that the whole globe was tropical all around. So we're just getting back to that situation. It's not going to go exactly back to that. Maybe it will in the millennial reign of Christ. I don't know. But we're going back to that situation. So is it an existential threat to humanity? No. What is an existential threat to humanity? Well, Satan and sin. That is what the problem is. But man is going to do anything to get away from acknowledging God, even so much as to blame other men and to kill other men in the name of climate change to limit the Earth's population. And that's what Satan wants. Satan just wants to kill as many people as possible. And here's one. Did you see this? Could Canada and the U.S. be actually responsible for the pandemic? There were multiple nations involved in this bat and coronavirus research in Wuhan lab. And one of these, not only gain of function through Fauci and his particular arrangements in the U.S., but also via a Canadian lab in Winnipeg, where a CCP-linked virologist was fired because this person transferred Ebola from a Winnipeg lab to Wuhan for testing purposes. Now, who is this CCP-linked virologist working for? Well, she's working for the Chinese military now, by the way. So there you go. Were there several countries involved in the release and the research and whatever it may be as it relates to the pandemic? Yeah, very likely. It wasn't solely China's fault. If they wanted to deploy this as a bioweapon, I think there would probably be other ways to do it. And certainly that wouldn't have been, I don't think, through a wet market in China. Unless the governments of the world and the people in high places with lots of money decided that maybe that was a good thing to do. But they certainly got lots of control, didn't they? They got effective, ultimately martial law. They got lockdowns the world over. And doesn't that almost seem like one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse? And indeed, the first horse, the white horse. Where's my keynote here? The white horse, and where is my... There it is. The white horse. He had a bow. He was given a crown, a corona, and he went out conquering and to conquer. And could the first seal have been broken with the pandemic? I'm now open to the idea, honestly. This stuff is likely to be very slow moving. We like to see things in movie format where one thing happens today, and in the next 5 minutes, the next big calamity happens. But Bible history actually happens over thousands of years. We read it in the Bible, and it looks to us like a minute's gone by since we read the last chapter, and that the events of the Bible happened very quickly. Well, they didn't. They happened over hundreds of years, thousands of years, all the things, starting from Adam and Eve and forward. So again, it might make sense that indeed these seven seals, which are really the warning prior to the wrath of God coming when the sun and the moon go dark, which is the sixth seal there, maybe these are the warnings of Horseman of the Apocalypse, are a slow-moving train wreck warning to everybody that the Lord is coming, that Bible prophecy is to come to pass? Could it be that the pandemic indeed was that first seal, and then the second seal is effectively World War III with Russia, riding this red horse? Peace removed, violence breaks out. What did the RCMP just warn of in Canada? They warned of civil unrest due to deteriorating economic situations. And by the way, if they know World War III is coming, or that the world governments are going to initiate World War III or trigger it, maybe they would be putting that out under the guise of, a warning for the governments that during World War III, you need martial law to be implemented, and that's the warning for it and the solution to it. And they practiced martial law during the pandemic, didn't they? So all these things are practiced, ready to go, and you didn't even know it, did you? You didn't even know that they were testing out psyops on you. Indeed, it came out that the Canadian military was testing psychological operations on Canadians during the pandemic. So our own military is testing stuff out, options on us to try and get you to do something, maybe take the jab, right? That was a great psychological operation across the board, and they used all manner of pressure, psychological pressure, to get people to do it. Most people complied, didn't they? What percentage of people got vaccinated? Must have been up in the 80% mark. Most people complied. What's going to happen in the last days when the Antichrist comes to power? Most people will comply, just like they did during the pandemic. Folks, most people are not going to stand a chance, and that's why you need to find Jesus now, so that you have the Holy Spirit in you, and you have the ability and the strength and the willpower to stand up against this when you know it's wrong, and to give you that faith and encouragement to walk the walk, because it's going to get hard. There will be a time when God decides, you know what, I'm just going to give people over to their delusion. They're just going to believe what they're going to believe, and they're not going to believe in Jesus, and they're not going to believe in Bible prophecy. And so I'm going to give them over to that, and people will get what they want, and they will get this godless belief cemented in their brains. And the whole purpose is to get people off the fence before the wrath of God, because God is not going to allow anybody to say, well, I didn't know, you didn't give me a chance, I haven't chosen yet. He's going to say, nope, you chose. And if you hadn't chosen by the year 2020, coming up to the pandemic and the war and the economic collapse, that would have been the pressure on you to make a choice one way or the other. And by the time we get to the sixth seal, the wrath of God, everybody, all of mankind will have made a choice for God or against him, and most will have chosen to be against God. Be prepared, folks. World War III is the next world event, I think, on the stage. Get ready for it. Get prepared. Be wise. God gave you a brain. Use it. Be prepared. Thanks for watching. I'll leave there. We'll see you in the next video.